Are you curious to know which NBA players shot themselves in the foot by squandering their fortunes on lavish lifestyles and bad investments? Well, grab your popcorn and settle in for a juicy tell-all about the once rich and famous ballers who hit rock bottom. In 2023, NBA athletes will be paid more than ever before. This offseason's big agreements inked by players like Bradley Beal and Nikola Jokic, worth over $500 million combined, indicate that. However, there was a time when things were different. Basketball players in the 1950s and 1960s often had to supplement their income by working other jobs or retiring early due to low salaries. Although players in the 1970s, 1980s, and 1990s earned more overall, their salaries pale compared to the multi-million-dollar deals given out in 2023. That's among the several contributing factors to the high rate at which NBA players declare bankruptcy. Sports Illustrated predicted in 2009 that 60% of NBA stars would become financially insolvent within 5 years of retirement. That's an unbelievable number of retired athletes. The origin of those figures can be traced back to poor money choices, terrible contracts, or problems away from the court. Scottie Pippen, a true NBA icon who fell on hard times, made approximately $109 million in NBA pay by itself but had a substantial portion of his assets, $20 million, tricked by a financial advisor. It's no secret that Pippen has had money problems. He lost $27 million to fraud, including a $1.4 million debt. After being compelled to sell his home in 2005, Pippen sought advice from a financial advisor who came highly suggested by the Chicago Bulls. He never technically declared bankruptcy, but he was financially strapped for quite some time before getting back on his feet. Antoine Walker. Following his graduation from the University of Kentucky, Walker went on to make 3 All-Star teams and win his first NBA title in 2006. It's easy to see why he's become the face of the NBA's cash-strapped athletes. Walker was a star on the floor but a spendthrift when he wasn't playing. He was a wealthy man with a plethora of material possessions. Walker also suffered from serious gaming addiction. For failure to pay off his gaming bills, Walker was fined $770,050 by multiple casinos in 2011. Walker has rebounded since he squandered his NBA salary. He was a sports commentator for both Fox Sports Network and ESPN's SEC Network. In addition to his job as a financial advisor, Walker is a professional athlete who hopes to prevent his peers from making similar financial oversights he did. Shawn Kemp. There's no chance you missed Shawn Kemp's name drop if you followed the NBA at all in the 90s. The Seattle Supersonics rose to prominence at the turn of the century thanks in large part to the efforts of star player Shawn Kemp and, of course, Gary Payton, who provided comic relief on the court. Kemp was a living highlight video because of his spectacular dunks. The fast, powerful, and incredibly dynamic number 40 for the Sonics made it to the NBA Finals in 1996 and was selected to 6 straight All-Star games from 1993 to 1998. There are no concrete details available about what happened to Kemp after his career ended. Still, it is clear that he made a number of poor decisions. For example, Kemp allegedly has to send child support to 6 separate families on a regular basis, which is a significant drain on his resources. Latrell Sprewell. In today's world, it's common practice to provide players with some form of money management help, such as guidance, guidelines, or even an accountant. Latrell Sprewell is an awful example of an NBA star who wasn't provided any of that and therefore had to make all of his own financial choices. His entire wealth was lost despite the fact that he had a successful 13-year record as a professional basketball player. The Minnesota Timberwolves offered him a deal worth $21 million, but he turned it down. He was eventually compelled to sell his possessions in 2005. Due to his tax evasion, the state of Wisconsin demanded an absurd sum from him, around $3.5 million, according to estimates. Then, Sprewell's ex-wife filed a lawsuit against him for $200 million. Finally, his house and boat were both taken from him by creditors. Sprewell is able to maintain a comfortable lifestyle in 2022 despite having squandered all of his NBA earnings. Kenny Anderson made over $60 million in compensation alone as a player, over which he performed for the Nets, Hornets, Trail Blazers, Celtics, Supersonics, Pacers, Hawks, and Clippers. but reportedly down to his last $800,000 by the time he retired in 2006, 15 years after his selection. Anderson's story is a cautionary tale of how a draft can ruin a life financially. His bankruptcy was precipitated by his obligation to provide child support for 7 kids by 5 separate mothers. Anderson's life and choices, which include a string of recent DUI arrests, the loss of his high school teaching position, and the publication of a heartbreaking memoir about his youth, illustrate the need for the NBA to assist its retired players with emotional and financial support. Allen Iverson. So many myths have arisen about Iverson. Firstly, and most importantly, he is not cash-stressed. Unbelievably, he is still worth $1 million or more despite having frittered away over $200 million. Initially, as part of his sponsorship agreement with Reebok, at least $16 million will be placed in annuity funds for his use once he reaches the age of 55, which will occur in the year 2030. In addition, he can cash in on his NBA salary, which is guaranteed to be more than enough to get him a hearty meal. Knowing his financial position in detail does not change the reality that he is a total fool for having wasted so much cash on individuals who could not give a hand about him. We're crossing our fingers that he'll be able to avoid being used again. Dennis Rodman. The NBA has seen some of its most colorful characters in Dennis Rodman, one of the most outspoken and divisive figures in league history. In 2011, Rodman was admitted into the Basketball Hall of Fame and had lifetime earnings of around $26 million. However, he ran into financial constraints and declared bankruptcy when he couldn't cover his own expenditures. Since Rodman's attorneys publicly claimed that he was destitute and ill, he was also required to pay child support for $800,000 and spouse alimony in the amount of $50,000. So, these were the 6 most famous NBA stars who have wasted away their wealth. It is a sad reminder of the reality that if one is not wise with their finances and spends recklessly, even a successful career does not guarantee financial security. The lesson for everyone to learn is that it's essential to plan ahead and save money while one is still at the peak of their career. This will ensure financial security in the long run and can help avert a situation like these 6 NBA stars faced. We hope you liked the video and learned something from it. So, it's your turn to give us a thumbs up, share the video with fellow fans, and comment below why you think financial planning is important even for athletes. Thanks for watching.